Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to our final Sandbox session for 2023. Wow, that's been some year and some busy year. We're going to have our special guest today is Brittany Parker, and she's with Benjamin Bridge. And she is got Lead with a Sparkle. That sounds pretty interesting this morning, Brittany. I'm going to hand it right over to you.
Perfect. Just as I'm getting the presentation loaded here, if folks have questions or comments or anything, please feel free we can make this as interactive as folks would like. All right. Here we go. So just to give you a bit of background, I'm not sure how many folks are familiar with Benjamin Bridge. Benjamin Bridge is a sparkling wine house here in the Gaspereau Valley. The business started back in 1999, and we were actually closed to the public up until 2018. And so I've been with BB for 10 years, a little over 10 years now. I actually started in the accounting department. So a bit of a departure. I now run hospitality here. And over the past number of years since we've opened to the public, we went through a major renovation in 2019 after being open in 2018. And so we've seen a tremendous growth, even with COVID. That was honestly a very surprising part of this story. But what we realized, and I don't know if folks can relate here, but you invest a lot of time and care and energy into a program, and you get really incredible staff. And wineries here in the Annapolis Valley tend to be fairly seasonal. And so what we've been trying to do over the last little bit is figure out, okay, how do we change the conversation, and how can we create something that is year round so that we can keep our team going? And that's been a real focus ever since we've kind of come out of COVID 2020, 2021. We talked a lot about, okay, ideas. And in 2022, putting a lot of those ideas into place. And so we'll talk a bit about one of the experiences that we're doing. But I did want to chat a little bit about the other experiences that we actually at the same time that have turned out to be fairly successful. So one of the first things that we've done is do a winter vineyard light. So this is actually taking a number of winter scene lights, as you can see here, throughout the vineyard. So we've got woodland creatures and different themes from last year to this year. And so the reason that we did that is, how do we bring families and people together in those colder months when folks tend to not want to go out? And so we saw a tremendous amount and family traffic, which good to see. So that was a really great and successful program. This year we put that into place a few weeks earlier, and we're already seeing that traffic build, which is wonderful. This year we've added a few new warming stations. So seating and outdoor seating is always a tricky thing, especially with our weather here in Nova Scotia. It can be beautiful one minute and windy or rainy or cold or chilly the next. And so what we've done is we've added 3 fire pit areas where folks can cozy up with a nice wool blanket and enjoy that space. And so we've added 45 additional seats. And what's been really great is that folks are very much drawn to that. There's something very nostalgic about, a cozy fire and just connecting with people. We've got our By the Glass service. So back in 2018, when we started, we actually didn't put a lot of emphasis on our By the Glass program. And we were really focused on tastings and that connection to the wine and to people. And what we saw is that a lot of folks, without putting much emphasis on that program, that program continued to grow. So for the winter season, we actually add warm cocktails and freshly popped popcorn from our garden to enjoy out by those fires, and we've seen, you know, a lot of response. We also changed our hours to do it a little bit later in the evening, so we're starting to see folks recognize that and come in and enjoy time with friends and family. And then new this season, we've put a Bubbles and Bites, so a new sparkling wine tasting experience in place for folks to come in for about an hour, taste through our wines, and but the biggest thing that we've done here and put into place last year, which we saw as a huge success, was our winter vineyard adventure. And so when we started talking about this experience, it was so different from the other experiences that we've done in the past. And to be honest, I was a little bit nervous because for so long we were so heavily focused on wine, and this is a huge departure and very different from our other offerings. So it was really hard to tell if our clientele would, you know, want to join us for something like this. I was lucky enough to get into the Lift program through GMIST, and I have to say it was an incredible experience. And for those of you that haven't done it, I would highly recommend. It really changed my thinking and reframed my thinking. So I know moving forward, I definitely look at things very different, more from an experiential side. And so part of this program is taking this experience and really refining it. So after coming back from Newfoundland, we started putting all of this in place. And so it had to be something very different, something outside of the box. So the concept is, you know, we wanted to put a self-guided walking tour in place. We have a beautiful vineyard. And so we created 3 different trails for folks to enjoy. And, you know, we made sure when planning this, that if COVID did arise, we had the ability to social distance. And, you know, we focused on wellness and connectivity. So spending time with friends and family in a really beautiful setting. And so part of the tour is we would welcome you at the winery. You could take your choice of one of the 3 trails. You would wander down to the riverside. And so on the river, we have 3 pods that extend out onto the water with chairs. So when folks reach the riverside, a really beautiful space. And so when they're welcome to, and they get to create their own ice glass. So they would work on that glass, and once they finished as that interactive piece, we would pour them a special wine from our library to enjoy, so they could fire, enjoy that experience with those that they came with. And you know, following that, our team would actually be popping our popcorn right on the fire, be seasoning it, having a conversation the time of year about the wines that we pulled from our cellar. And what we found is that it was really a huge success. So, you know, with every, you're going to find things that work really, really well, and then you're going to find things that maybe didn't. And so, you know, our major successes that we were really excited about is that we were really surprised by excitement that came from those bookings. We managed to weeks in advance. I think in January, we were already booked almost out until the end of March when the tastings experiences ended. We had a lot of folks locally come and enjoy those experiences. They were chatting about it on the radio, all those things. We were really surprised. But the main reason for doing this was building that additional traffic in the off season, and that definitely happened. And so guests were excited to be taking part in something that really they couldn't do anywhere else. It also allowed us to do the other piece that we really were wanting to do, which is ensure that our team had a year-round position with Benjamin Bridge. And so we were able to have an additional 4 to 5 team members full-time year-round. And so that was really huge for us and really exciting. And, we continue to think, okay, how do we build onto this and continue going? So with that comes challenges. So just a couple of things and little anecdotes. So the ice glasses, they were a lot of fun. As you can see here, people used hot water and syringes actually to build the outside and inside of their glass. It was very labor intensive on our side. Interestingly enough, ice is quite a science, and trying to create blocks of ice for folks to create their own glasses became very challenging. Every week we thought we had it figured out, and so it wouldn't crack. And then, sure enough, we would have a number that would kind of crack and come apart. So that became challenging, especially as the weather started to warm up. But folks did enjoy it. It was something very different. There was definitely a lot of Instagram moments there of folks enjoying their wine out of these beautiful glasses. We actually had a local artisan create little cozies that went around them, wool knitted cozies, so that they had something warm to hold on to, so their hands weren't too cold. So we kind of pivoted throughout the year to kind of make those small tweaks to make it more enjoyable. One thing that, we knew was going to be a challenge, but decided to roll with it. Weather plays a huge role in anything that you do when you're doing an outside experience. And we know that from running our By the Glass program completely outside throughout the season. You're really having to kind of go with the flow there. When we built this, we didn't put anything in there to say, okay, if the weather is poor, this is what we're going to do. So what it ended up doing is creating a lot of additional work for our team in the mornings. So you're watching the weather, calling guests, and then folks had the opportunity to refund if they didn't feel that they wanted to come out and enjoy an experience that was slightly different than what they signed up for. So we did some tweaks, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, on how we went ahead and changed that. But the other piece that we didn't take into consideration is one thing that I thought would be really, excuse me, interesting, is doing a self-guided tour. It gives folks the ability to wander at their leisure down to the riverside, and you could choose any of those trails, which ranged in length. What we didn't really consider, honestly, is that they would arrive at very different times. And at first, I didn't really think that that was a concern, but the demonstration for the ice glasses, had to happen multiple times. And sometimes you would just get started and another group would come in. So the team did have some challenges there on, okay, how do we facilitate this multiple times throughout and still give the opportunity for folks to sit and enjoy the fire? Because what we realized is that folks just gravitate to the fires. They enjoy sitting there and spending time with one another, and that's where they wanted to spend the majority of their time. So if they decided to take a longer trail, they only had a much shorter time to be able to do that. So we really did, at the end of the season in March, this past March, start kind of taking notes. Okay, what can we do to change a really great experience and tweak it slightly so that, one, it's not stressful for our team, and two, making sure that those folks that did participate get the experience that they really wanted to enjoy. And so a few things that we changed along the way. So we switched out the ice glasses to 2 different offerings based on the time of year. I think one thing that I underestimated going into this is the interactive piece. I didn't realize how incredible this was. A lot of times with our tastings, you know, we're doing a presentation, we're wandering through the wines, we're wanting to have a conversation with people and really share why we're so passionate about the products we create. But what really was very special about the winter experience was that interactive piece that they got to do with their friends and family, and, you know, posting about it and sharing it and having a good time. So we didn't want to lose that. So we thought, okay, what are two different things that are very low impact in regards to the team that we could share, that we have a lot of fun doing? So we created a wreath making workshop from now until the end of December, which are vines from our vineyard. And we also forage stuff from along the farm. So, you know, there's different things that we've had growing. So we would forage every week and have it laid out on the table. And so we would walk folks through that wreath making process, which, believe it or not, is very, very easy to do. You're just basically continually wrapping vines around one another. And then in January to March, we'll have a different workshop, which is focused on pruning. And so a lot of folks don't see what happens in the downtime at wineries because we're usually closed to the public. And so we thought that this would be a great way to invite folks in and have them part of the process. Funny enough, I have pruned a few times over the past number of years. There's quite an art to it, depending on the type of vine, the varietal, all of those things. So there's a lot to share and a lot to walk through. So we felt it would be a really great opportunity for folks to not only learn something, but do something fun. And so there will be a different component with that. We'll use those vines down by the riverside as well for something. And yeah, we're really excited about that piece. The other thing that we changed this year, because we are actually, this program has been running since November 15th, November 20th, is that tours are no longer self-guided. So we actually welcome guests up here at the winery, and they will wander together as a group down to the riverside. This allows us to ensure that everyone is arriving at the same time. Everyone is engaging along the way, having conversations. We welcome them with a glass of wine that they can enjoy on their travels down. It's really great, and it gives folks the opportunity to meet one another before they walk through a workshop together. The last piece that has been a very big game changer for us is that we created a weather alternative wine experience. So right on the website from the very beginning, folks know, okay, if weather is poor, this is the experience that you're going to get. It is the equivalent from a monetary standpoint. We will bring in elements of the other tour to ensure that, you know, folks still really have a great time. But this allows us to not have to reach out to guests. Weather seems slightly conservative, if there's a little rain or whatever in the forecast, and then they can choose to refund or not, but we have something in place. So what we have found is that really hasn't been something that we have dealt with since we've started going. Even with the rain and stuff, folks are still really excited to come. And so those adjustments have made a world of difference on our front, and we're really excited about this year. We're starting to see a tremendous amount of bookings already, and you know, we're still seeing that appetite for something different and something kind of a huge departure from what we normally offer throughout the rest of the season is still very much there. When looking at, you know, off season versus peak season, you really can change a lot. And so we thought, okay, at the end of harvest, there tends to be a little bit of a lull before we start our winter programming. What can we do? And so we started thinking, as soon as March hit, how do we bring these pieces into our hospitality program more so than not? And what we decided is that we would put something in place in the early fall that would be very different again from this, but also similar in the sense that there's a very interactive piece. So we created a Harvest Riverside adventure. Again, focusing on the riverside. Folks love it down there. They really enjoy that space. It's calm, it's quiet. You can hear the river bubbling by. It's so much fun. And so we knew how successful the winter would be. And so we created the offering, which focused on our harvest. And folks enjoy coming around of the year because the winery really becomes alive. We're pressing juice. We've got grapes, coming off the vines. Folks are harvesting. There's a lot going on. And so we created a tour where folks get to come in. And again, this one was also guided by a member of our team. And so folks would come in, we would welcome them with a glass of wine, and we would head into the vineyard. And so we talked a lot about, the challenges of, growing here in Nova Scotia, what this harvest looked like. And so guests get to either harvest their own grapes to enjoy, or we would have freshly pressed grape must, so juice from the grapes freshly pressed, so that they could enjoy while hanging out in the vineyard and talking about that. And so folks got to try something from the point in which it starts at harvest time until they get to taste a fully finished wine. And so, for instance, if we went into the Vidal that day and tasted the grapes or the must, well, then you would get to actually try a product that was fermented, and then a fully finished product that had been blended off and created, such as our Tidal Bay, which focuses a lot on our Vidal. Folks really enjoyed that. And then, of course, with Harvest and our garden, we were able to pull elements from all aspects of our farm. So our culinary team were able to make freshly made soup from, squash or whatever we had ready. And again, hanging out down by the riverside and enjoying that space. We did create a weather plan right from the get-go, so it didn't affect this offering as well. And we felt that it was a really great option for the team to build that traffic during a little bit of a lull ahead of our winter season. So team has really been a major focal point for us, I feel, throughout everything. And for us, back in 2017, when we all sat around a table and we said, okay, how do we make this work? The reality was that if we were going to create a hospitality program, we needed to make sure that everyone, bought in, they wanted to participate, so that when folks came to our facility, they felt ultimately that we were welcoming them into our home. For us, it was about creating a warm, welcoming, safe space, not only for our guests, but our team as well. And so as we continued to grow, the first year that we started in 2018, we had 4 additional staff that we hired that were students from the hospitality program. And this year we had a total of 36. So there's been a tremendous amount of growth. But in doing that, we've seen increase in traffic, and we know that in hospitality, when you're giving a really amazing experience and you're giving 110%, it can be, exhausting. And so how do we ensure that our team is ready and available to provide that experience? And we want to make sure that they provide, they have downtime, they have sustainability in their lives. And so we put in place in 2021, 22, hospitality took on the 4-day work week to try it, to see, okay, is this going to work? And then the winemaking team put it into place for production. That is a huge feat for them, because when wine is ready to be bottled, or, it's fermenting, you have to be able to be present and on site. So we made the adjustments from a staffing and scheduling standpoint. And all of a sudden, all of the departments, we decided as leads, okay, we're going to buy in and we're going to do this across the board. And we did, and it's been highly successful. It gives folks 3 days off in the run of a week, yes, it is longer days, but folks really don't mind working a few extra hours in the run of a day, knowing that they have 3 days for themselves. You know, we all have appointments and things that we need to do. It gives you one day to have that down to do those things, but also 2 days of downtime. In the summer, it was fantastic for students and things that wanted to go back home or, you know, do something. It gave them the flexibility to do so. And what we found actually in doing this, call-ins, I can speak for hospitality specifically, call-ins became less and less. People were also open to picking up a number of more shifts because they knew that they still had 2 days off. So if someone did call in sick, you know, we knew that we just had to send out a note, and folks were really, you know, looking to pick that extra shift up. It was a game changer for me and for our department. And I know that it was for other departments as well. You started to see, you know, no burnout happening. People were really excited to show up and be present. We have a number of folks of our full-time team on salary, both, you know, in all departments. And so part of that 4-day work week is how do we give back to the community? There's a number of us that have a lot of things that we're really passionate about, causes that we really enjoy participating in. And so we went a step further when we made it department, you know, mandated across all departments that for anyone who's salaried, you get paid your 40 hours a week. You technically only need to work the 36, but as part of that mandate, you have to work 60 hours of volunteer time within the community. And so that has been incredible for me. I have been able to work on a few different projects that I've been really passionate about, and trying to find time to do that within a full-time work week tends to be sometimes difficult. And so we were able to start seeing that folks were taking advantage of that and really working towards, you know, all those things that they enjoy doing in their downtime. And, you know, we wanted to make an impact on the community around us. And I feel like it's been really beneficial for everyone involved. Myself specifically, I have, you know, offered administrative time to an at-risk youth program, as well as another program focused on children within the community who need additional support. So it's been really wonderful and fulfilling. It's been great to have Benjamin Bridge out there and offering support, and that'll continue to grow. And then this year, we have a culinary garden that we use for our hospitality program here. We thought, okay, we know that we understand that there's a lot of pressure team. And so what are some other things that we could add on to our program besides our medical and the 4-day work week? And so this year we did do a free CSA from our community garden. It wasn't a lot because obviously with, you know, 60 some folks, like, you know, there's a lot of folks involved, but every person got a bag to go home with at the end of every week for, you know, 6 to 8 weeks from the garden. And people were really receptive and appreciative of that. And so, you know, we're constantly looking at ways to do better, not only for our team, but for the community around us. And we have felt that these things that we've put in place have been really, really beneficial. And, you know, from a hospitality standpoint here in Nova Scotia, the number of folks available there's staff shortages kind of across the board. The whole industry has really, really struggled to get staff. And so if you have incredible staff, how do you retain them? And so these things have been really successful. It does give us, you know, something in addition to, you know, a very competitive wage. It creates value. And so that's what it really comes down to, is like, how do you create a really great team environment a very safe and welcoming team environment, but also create value for folks. And we felt that, you know, a lot of those things have definitely done so. So Darlene, I don't know, I mean, I can continue, I could talk for days, but does anybody have any questions or comments about anything that we covered off so far?
I think this is all pretty incredible. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I think that, you know, small businesses, you know, what we've realized is, you know, we've invested a lot, truthfully, over the last few winters to keep going, even though sometimes it doesn't always make sense, in hopes to see the traffic continue and increase. And what I can say is, from, you know, 2021 till now, the traffic has increased significantly compared to what we've seen in the past. One successful piece here is that other wineries are now looking to also stay open in some capacity for a bit longer. We're starting to hear conversations talk about, okay, how do we lengthen our season? And so it's an exciting time, because we're starting to see folks kind of change their thought process on that and look at investing as well, because as we know, you know, it's better to have a number of us open than not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's been such an incredible experience, and like I said, I can't say enough about the lift program. I was able to meet a number of other local businesses that had the same mindset and the same understanding, and it's always so great to meet passionate people who, you know, are looking to do something a little bit different. And if I've learned anything, it's about thinking outside of the box a little bit.
Yeah.
And it took me a bit to be like, okay, what if it's not well received? But I think what we found is that people want that connectivity. They want to do something together that they wouldn't normally do, you know, at other points in the year. And so we're really, really excited about the next couple of years and kind of changing that conversation here in the Annapolis Valley.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Very, very exciting.
Yeah. Any other questions? Comments?
I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to hold back.
Nicole.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to say Nova 7 is one of my favorites. I look for it everywhere I go. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to find it in Newfoundland, because I'm in Newfoundland, not in Nova Scotia. So when I first came here, it was an awkward to find, but eventually I found it more and more places. And I think just as a comment for the business, to maybe, there's a lot of breweries growing in Newfoundland, and maybe looking into contracting with them to making sure that your wine is highlighted and partner up with them. Yeah,
absolutely.
maybe that's something to look into, because there are a lot of breweries across the island, and I think that would be great, because they all do serve wine as well, most of them. So it's just something to consider.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I think a team
You're very
member
welcome.
was heading there over the next couple of months. We do a few visits in Newfoundland throughout the season. Fun story. We had a gentleman by the name of Brent Windsor from Newfoundland who was Nova 7's biggest fan. And we heard about, you know, he was constantly posting and sharing. And he actually came here as a stage for a harvest season and stayed on for a number of years. We absolutely adored him, but he actually was the reason that Nova 7 got into the stores there as much as they did, because he knew the system and was able to navigate it a bit. So we're grateful for his time, because he played a huge role in that market for sure.
Well, I too am grateful for him for making it available for me out here. I look for it everywhere I travel. I'm always looking behind the bar going, do you have Nova 7? Anyways, besides that, I just want to congratulate you guys on the move for the 4-day work week for your staff, and taking your staff's well-being into major consideration in your plan. I think that's fantastic. I think like New Zealand started the 4-day work week process, and they've done so well health-wise and employee motivation wise. It's just worked really well. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much. I think, you know, a lot of time, I mean, we know within businesses, retaining is so much better to create a great environment and having to retrain every year. And for us, we're very much a family-oriented business, and we have been since the very beginning. And, you know, I think being able to offer something where folks actually have the downtime to do what they need to do and not feel rushed in those days off was really important, and something you don't really see in the hospitality industry. So I feel like it does create, I know it's created a ton of value for me and for other members within the business. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I just have one other thing before I stop talking. I'm a small catering business in Newfoundland, not that we're going to partner. It's a little bit of a far distance, but I mean, something to consider, like my company's Tree Moose. I do charcuterie and candy boxes and boards and things like that. So I'm
Awesome.
sure there's probably one in your similar vicinity, and some partnership would help alleviate some of that workforce needed
Absolutely.
and create an awareness between the two of you, because maybe the catering company can also start highlighting your wines while they serve as well, right? So something else to consider.
Absolutely, that's a great idea.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to share? Well,
Brittany, this is some really wonderful information here that, and thanks for sharing everything with us. Does anyone have any last questions? Brittany, is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I mean, folks are welcome to reach out to me afterwards. If anything comes up or anything that you want to share, we are always open to collaboration, and I love talking about this stuff. I'm really, really passionate about, you know, creating a sustainable industry, a year-round destination, all those things. So if anyone is ever, you know, wanting to chat, please do feel to reach out. And I appreciate you all taking the time to come today and to see what we were up to. So thank you so much.
And I want to thank everybody. And just a little reminder that at the end, there will be a little survey that will pop up. If you could just take a few moments, that would be awesome if you could just fill that out. And thanks again, Brittany, and thanks again, everyone.
Darlene, before you let go, where do we get Brittany's information? Is that going to be in the chat? Are you going to send it out? How can we get Brittany's contact?
Yeah, Brittany could probably just want to flick it in the chat.
Drop that in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, folks. And there is my email. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. And like Brittany said, you can contact her or us anytime. If you need in the future to know anything about Brittany, you can just contact her or us, and we'll help you the best way we can. Thanks, everyone.
Guys, thank you.
Here.